Hello everyone, my name is Boulevard here for giantslayertv to bring you the top 3 decks of Fight Night Legends. In this series, we'll follow along with Fight Night Legends every single week and take a look at top performing decks, popular decks, and decks to keep an eye on. Before we get into the video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay up to date on all the latest content, and if you're interested in playing in a future Fight Night Legends yourself, you can find an application to do so at giantslayertv/LOR. There you will fill out a form of some basic information like your name, country of residence, and some information about your previous accomplishments in the Legends of Runeterra. While we're always looking to highlight new talent, this is still a competitive tournament. To break down exactly what it is, Fight Night Legends is an 8-person invitational tournament taking place on Thursday, Friday, and Monday for Brazil, Europe, and the Americas respectively. The events run in the standard Riot Lock format, meaning that each player brings 3 decks with no overlapping champions or region combinations, and bans one of the opponent's decks to play a best of 3 in which they must win with their 2 unbanned decks. The event is double elimination, with the top 2 players being invited back next week for a chance to prove themselves once again. As always, we kicked off the last week of Fight Night in Brazil, where Rod's MTG was able to bounce back from his previous second place finish, claiming the crown with Darkness, Demacia Yordles in Arms, and Gnar Swain. To make his revenge that much sweeter, he was able to defeat triple Demacia this time around, as second place went to Trevo on Sivir Akshan, Pantheon Yuumi, and Demacia Yordles in Arms. Trevo made it clear that while players may have adapted to the triple Demacia lineups last week, they were here to stay in the face of the adversity. Next, we'd mosey on over to Fight Night Europe, where Smooth Swoloist reminded everyone that the common enemy should be Bandle City, not Demacia, as he ran over the competition with Bandletree, Demacia Yordles in Arms, and Piltover and Zaun Yordles in Arms. He played his villainous role to perfection, defeating the most interesting lineup of the tournament in Maskert's Luxnar Shellfolk, Braum Galio, and Shen Jarvan IV. And after the weekend gave players time to adjust to what they had seen, it was time for the Americas to duke it out once again, where Floppy Mudkip and What Am I clashed in the finals for the second week in a row. This time, Floppy Mudkip came out on top of the scrap, piloting Pantheon Yuumi, Draven Scion Vi, and Gnar Sejuani. And of course, that left second place to What Am I, who played a lineup only he could in Lee Sin, Feel the Rush, and his signature Thresh Aurelion Soul. Now that you're caught up on the results, let's take a look at the top 3 decks. Coming in at number 3, we have Darkness. When looking at the play rates for decks in the top 4 last week, Darkness was actually tied with Ezreal Caitlyn Tribeam Control, with the tiebreaker being that Darkness won Fight Night Brazil, while Caitlyn Tribeam Control wasn't really able to make it to the finals of any of these events. Darkness has been tearing up both the ladder and tournament scene since the release of A Curious Journey, standing tall as the most consistent control option out there. With Scouts and Sivir Akshan less prevalent last week, Darkness had just enough breathing room to slip in at our number 3 spot. Number 2 this week goes to Pantheon Yuumi. Last format, the Shyvana vs Taric debate ran all the way through the seasonal, never really finding a resolution as to what the quote-unquote correct option was, but players now overwhelmingly agree that it's Yuumi or bust. Pantheon is the Demacia deck that you bring to beat the other Demacia decks, making it no surprise that its success rate spiked last week as players adapted to the region's success from 2 weeks ago. The deck only managed to win 1 Fight Night last week, however, putting it in second place behind our very clear number 1 choice. And of course, number 1, for the second week in a row, is Demacia Yordles in Arms. Taking home the crown at both Brazil and Europe's Fight Nights was the boogeyman deck of the format. The aggressive, fast-paced Bandle City cost reduction is still too much for many decks to handle, and players are likely starting to count down the days until the next balance patch as week in and week out, this Tristana terror continues to win event after event and drain LP away from even the most seasoned of ladder grinders. If you want a more in-depth look at this deck, we do have a deck tech of it on this channel as well as one for Darkness, so be sure to check those out if you want a little bit more knowledge than we have time for in this recap video. In fact, we've got all sorts of great things here at giantslayerlor, so be sure to hit the subscribe button and click the bell icon to get notifications of when new videos go live so you don't miss a thing. And let me know in the comments below what decks you're hoping to see added or unadded from the next iteration of Fight Night Legends Top 3 Decks.